Detroit Pistons fans, so in today's video, I have a little clip here that I want to share with you guys, and this is coming from ESPN, and more specifically, ESPN analyst Bob Marks. He's basically going to be speaking for around 5 to 6 minutes, giving his opinion on the Detroit Pistons and our offseason plans. Now, do note that this originally was released a month ago, so if you hear him referring to if the Pistons get the first or second overall pick, that's why this was originally recorded a month ago. But play the clip right now.
The Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are interesting, and I've been a big fan of them from what they've been able to do since the All-Star break here. Certainly playing at a high level, and I always say that what you want to see from your young players is not playing out the string, but put themselves in a competitive situation, a winning situation. They're not going to go to the play-in. They're not a playoff team. I think they're closer to the play-in than they are to the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. And they've only lost one game by 10 plus points since the All-Star break, and that's to the Boston Celtics here. And you certainly got to like what you've seen from Cade Cunningham. I don't know if he's going to win Rookie of the Year. He's going to be a top 3, as far as vote getter up there. Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant before he got hurt. This team was 500. Have hung around that. I know people are saying it's going to hurt their lottery position. I always say don't screw around with the lottery gods. They've got a nice young core that can still continue to build here. And some of the decisions that they're going to have to make as far as when the offseason comes into is, what do you do with Jeremy Grant is the first one. He is eligible for a 4-year, $112 million extension. He could sign that in the offseason. Does what happens in the draft impact? If you pick, let's say, the 3rd pick in the draft, and you pick a forward like Jabari Smith from Auburn, does Grant fit? The other thing when you look at with Detroit and Jeremy Grant here is that Troy Weaver, the general manager, said something pretty interesting. Like, you don't want a bunch of 21, like a roster filled of 21 and 22-year-olds. You do need solid veterans as far as to put with Cunningham and Bey and Isaiah Stewart. We'll see if we can get some more out of Killian Hayes, although he's been pretty good on a defensive standpoint. You're going to get a top 4 or 5 pick. Eventually, you have to start taking that next step. And if you trade Grant and let's say you get 2 first-round picks, Portland, unless they're really good value and you know you're going to get an impact player, or you just feel like Grant's not part of the future, it's hard for me to kind of cut bait with him. So I think the interesting thing is to look out for that extension with Grant. 4 years, $112 million. Is that a priority for Detroit? Is it something that they're going to play out? Once August, I believe the date is August 9th, goes past, and if Grant is traded, then he won't be extension eligible for that big monster deal because of the 6-month restriction. So Jeremy Grant's the first thing to keep an eye on. Priority for this team is to put shooters around Cade Cunningham. They are going to have cap flexibility, but they also are going to have some hard decisions to make. Around $23 million in room, but that takes into account letting a player like Marvin Bagley go. He's got a big cap hold. Detroit's technically over the cap. Maybe you can bring Bagley back at a smaller number and use cap space from there, $7-8 million. Then maybe make a decision on, you've got Hamidou Diallo, you've got Corey Joseph's got a player option, Diallo is a team option, Frank Jackson is a team option, Luke Garza is a team option. You've got about $10 or $11 million in non-guaranteed / team option. That could create an additional, $10 million. Anywhere from $23 to $33 million could potentially increase based on what direction you go with Grant. So a lot of hard decisions, interesting decisions. We can start with, certainly with the draft, having another top 3 or 4 pick, adding on to this roster that is, they're almost kind of where Cleveland was last year, even where Minnesota was. Minnesota won 16-25 the last 41 games after they hired Chris Finch. I almost see them, they're molding some type of identity. And if I was a team, we only have a little bit of a season left. I would want nothing to do with the Detroit Pistons here. So you've got to put shooters around Cade. You've got to figure out what you want to do with Jeremy Grant. You've got cap flexibility or not based on what you do with Marvin Bagley and your $10 or $11 million in team options. It's going to be an interesting offseason in Detroit. They are close, but I don't think they are a $20 million player away from taking that next step. You just got to keep on building. The draft, of course, as you saw, the value with Cunningham, getting Bay in the draft, Isaiah Stewart. I'm still not ready to sell on Killian Hayes here. I think he's got a role. Hey, I understand where he was drafted. There's going to be a bigger microscope on here, but Detroit's building something here. I've liked what they've been able to do. The hard part now is how do you crack that top 10 when you have the back four are Atlanta, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Cleveland. How do you kind of get into that level? But it starts with the draft. Jeremy Grant, cap flexibility, a lot of different resources to build out this roster.
Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Thank you for 5K, and I'm out.